So, do you want me looking at the camera? And hopefully today I have my procedure down pat. There's a spring on top. This goes up in here and it pushes against the surface inside the collet there. Doesn't really need to be very tight, but not enough that it doesn't wiggle loose. And the spring lets it ride up and down on the surface so that it isn't being forced down with the whole force of the machine. So 2.48 is what I'm really wanting to set this to. Okay, MZ.5. So everything I do is in SVG. That's the vector format. So this font was a line font I found online, and I took Font Forge, extracted the vectors from it, converted them to SVG, and then built them into the program. So this is where the bolts are going to go through to screw everything together. So there's a aluminum angle behind, and bolts go through these into the aluminum angle. So I move the pin up to 2.6, put the knife in and set it to 0.8. All right, so I think I'm a little high. I'll let MZ minus. Oh, I can go deeper. So the first cut I aligned the knife manually. And then it should do its thing. So at the end of this cut, it's going to have to pivot around 180 degrees. So what it'll do is it'll come out and it'll set the foot down on the line that it's going to be cutting on, and then it'll move the pivot point in an arc around that to line the knife up for the next cut. So it does that every time the knife's not aligned with the next cut. So here goes. Lining it up on the line, pivot around the outside, move into position. That's the sequence every time it's not lined on the cut. Of course, this next one, it's already aligned, so it's just going to lift up and move forward, ready for the next cut.
Many months later.
So this is the very first panel I did, and I had put the angle brackets on it, and then when I go to mount it in the window, I decided to mount it directly to the frame. Now that's the second one, and in this case I didn't put angle brackets on it at all. So initially we got a manual riv nut tool, which takes, it's a lot of work. It's physical labor. And then I went online looking for it because I thought there must be something better to do this with, and I found this tool. So panel has the riv nuts already in position, and we set it all up first to have the holes line up with riv nuts, and you just stick the bolt in there, screw it into the riv nut, get it started. Makes everything go pretty fast. I take drill a hole for a riv nut. When you take the panels out, you store the bolts in the riv nuts. They have a washer behind them that seals it, and they stay there during non-hurricane season, winter. I had another system that you saw in an earlier video where I was using galvanized roofing, and that felt like living in a cave. So the natural coroplast, which is translucent, lets light through, and you don't feel like you're in a cave. And in fact, you can also get clear coroplast at Lowe's and Home Depot for a little bit more than the sign material. This installation you just saw was used for Hurricanes Helene and Milton.